This is the Winegard Flatwave Air outdoor TV antenna I picked up from my local thrift store recently. It's a small, compact, square-shaped antenna, measures 14 inches by 14 inches. It's nice and light, and it had a sticker on the back that said, "For RV TV, works in US," which I find kind of funny because that tells you about the general lack of awareness here in Canada that people have for free over-the-air television. We do have free TV here. You can put up an antenna and get a few channels. In most cities in Canada, you'll get a lot more if you live near the border. Unfortunately, Canadian broadcasters don't really embrace free over-the-air TV and certainly don't make the effort to make Canadians aware that there are free channels they can receive over the air with an antenna. I bought it just as you see it here. It came with the mounting pole and brackets, but I also noticed that the back says 5-volt power required, which tells me that there's some kind of a preamp built into this antenna. So I was a little concerned when I bought it that it might not work because it didn't come with a power supply. It was priced at $25 and I managed to make a deal with the manager. Got it for 15 bucks, which I thought was still a good deal considering this antenna costs about $120 or more brand new. So we're gonna test it out today. Okay, I'm just holding it up with my hands. It's connected to my digital converter box directly. No power on that preamp, so we'll see what kind of reception we get indoors with it. So we're only getting one channel with the antenna placed indoors, channel 9 TVO, which is on the high VHF band. But I'm actually happy about that because that tells me that this antenna has a bypass on that preamp. We're not powering the preamp and the antenna still works, which is good antenna design on the part of Winegard. A lot of antennas that have built-in preamps will not work unless you have a power supply or power inserter connected. And if you ever have a antenna with a built-in preamp and your power supply fails, the antenna is pretty much good as junk. So kudos to Winegard for putting a bypass on that preamp. For those that don't know, a preamp is like an amplifier built into the antenna that boosts the signal as it's received at the antenna. And this minimizes loss as that TV signal travels through coax cable. And that's more effective than trying to boost a degraded signal with an amplifier just before it reaches the TV. All antenna preamps require some kind of power supply or power inserter like one of these, and they all pretty much work the same way. One end gets connected to the TV, and the other end carries voltage from the power supply back to the antenna through the coax cable. Now, in most cases, antennas with preamps built in will not work unless a power supply is connected, unless the manufacturer has built in some kind of a bypass that will still let the TV signal through, even if no power supply is connected to the preamp. Fortunately, this Winegard antenna has a bypass built in. All right, I've got it mounted here on a wooden post outside. It's about 8 feet off the ground. I find I don't need to mount antennas too high to get a good signal. Now we'll go inside and see how it's performing. So we missed channels 2 and 4, which I normally pick up. And there's channel 9 TVO. So one channel without powering that preamp. Okay, so here we are back at the menu of our digital converter box. And for this next test, I'm going to show you a little trick. If you go to the channel search menu, lots of digital converter boxes and even some TVs have this feature called antenna power. And this actually will provide a voltage signal passed back through the coaxial cable to power the preamp inside that antenna. So we're going to turn this on and then run a channel scan again and see if we pick up any more channels. There's channel 2, CKPR. Channel 4 is CHFD. Should have one more here. TV Ontario, we got that before. So there's the 3 locals I get. So that antenna power feature made all the difference in powering the preamp that's back up at the antenna. And now we'll check the signal strength here. That antenna power feature effectively takes the place of one of these power inserters to power that preamp. This is CKPR channel 2. And the signal strength is really good for such a small antenna in the high 60s. And here's channel 4 CHFD. The signal strength is a little lower, but this channel is typically the toughest one to receive. So even at 50 to 53%, still good. Picture's stable too. Looks like that preamp gave these low VHF channels the boost they needed to make it back to the TV. And not surprisingly, channel 9 TVO is coming in very strong into the low 80s. This channel is broadcast with a little more power than the other 2. And I did try the antenna inside again with that antenna power on in the digital converter box and still only picked up channel 9. This antenna is too small to pick up low VHF channels indoors. So this Winegard Flatwave turned out to be a really good buy at $15, an eighth of the original price. And that antenna power feature built into the digital converter box seemed to make all the difference in picking up those low VHF channels with such a small antenna. Normally, low VHF channels require a bigger antenna, but I don't live too far from the broadcast towers, less than 10 miles away. And I think this shows you don't always need a big antenna to grab some free TV out of the air. Now, if you're interested in getting every single channel in your area, or you live further away or in a more difficult reception area, then there's no way around it. A bigger antenna is what you're going to need. But in a lot of cases, a small to medium antenna should do just fine for you to get some free over-the-air channels.